Hello everyone, we are from Group 6 and today we are going to present about the BHOPAL gas tragedy for Assignment 2, BNS 20303 OSH Management System class. So let's get into it and see what lessons we can take from the BHOPAL gas tragedy.
Hello, my name is Divendra. My cardmatic number is CN220413. Today I am going to explain about the BHOPAL gas tragedy, also known as a BHOPAL disaster, took place on the night of the December 3, 1984 in Bhopal, India. A pesticide plant owned by the Union Carbide India Limited (UCIL) leaked methylene isolate gas, exposing over 500,000 people to toxic gas. Immediately, death toll was estimated to be around 3,800, with 1,000 more dying from the gas-related illness over time. This catastrophic event remains one of the world's most industry disasters, raising significant concern about the industrial safety, corporate responsibility, and the long-term effect of the chemical exposure on human health and the environment. Thank you.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nandini Hairul and today I'm going to present about the causes of the Bhopal gas tragedy. So for the first causes, the gas tragedy is because the MIC gas release. The Union Carbide pesticide plant released 40 metric tons of MIC, which dropped on the ground since it was heavier than air. MIC is the tiniest and deadliest of all isocyanates, and it has an adverse effect on all living things. UCC started working hard to find the cause shortly after the gas leak. A significant amount of water had been added to the MIC tank, according to UCC initial analysis. The pressure release valve was pushed to open as a result of the chemical reaction this produced, allowing the gas to escape. The next causes of the Bhopal gas tragedy is because of human error. Investigators concentrated on a human error and employee overlooked inserting a device meant to keep water out of chemical tanks in the event of a valve failure during routine cleaning. This mistake resulted in water seeping through the valve and into a chemical tank holding a significant amount of methyl isocyanate while the tank was being cleaned. Other than that, the causes is faulty location. Located within 1 kilometer from the train station and 3 kilometers from Hamidiyah and Sultaniyah, two significant hospitals, the UCIL facility was constructed on the outskirts of the city. The plant was situated in a heavily populated area without adequate warning systems or emergency procedures for the local populace. The problem was made worse by the lack of sufficient safety precautions and barriers to stop the poisonous gas from spreading to other places. The unfortunate incident made clear how crucial it is to develop industrial facilities properly. To add on the causes, other than that, the causes is safety systems failure. At the time of the catastrophe, the scrubber and flare tower were not operating at best. They could manage small leaks. The water spraying system, the third primary safety device, was operational and activated at 1 a.m. on December 3rd. However, it could only shoot water up to a height of 12 to 15 meters, while MIC escaped at a height of around 50 meters. Besides that, poor regular maintenance is also the cause of the gas tragedy. There were significant shortcomings in the daily operations. The custom of hiring degree holders as operators and giving them a half-year training period was discontinued. A few operators came from other plants and were recent high school graduates. The plant's leak monitoring system was not automated. Instead, employees had to feel discomfort in their throats and eyes to identify leaks. Let me continue with the consequences and impact. So the first consequences is the economic impact. People's inability to find employment has hurt the economy. The people are unable to work. Thus, they are unable to pay for even the most basic essentials, let alone luxury. Banks frequently provide loans with exorbitant interest rates. Since they have no other option, citizens are compelled to accept the terms, perpetuating the poverty cycles. The next impact is injuries and health effects towards the living people. The Bhopal tragedy claimed the lives of 15,000 to 20,000 individuals, while the remaining 500,000 suffer from respiratory issues, blindness, and other health issues. Approximately 3,787 people, many of whom were asleep, perished from the toxic gas within hours of the tragedy, according to the official data. For the next impact is environmental impact. India saw a sharp rise in environmental action and awareness after the events of December 3, 1984. It proved how crucial it is to incorporate environmental measures into all of the nation's plans for industrial development. But in the previous 20 years, policies aimed at advancing the nation's economy have surpassed efforts to safeguard public health, forests, and wildlife, even in spite of increased government commitment to these causes. The next one is social impacts. The devastating industrial accident known as the Bhopal gas tragedy permanently altered the social fabric of the world. Families were forced to relocate, and many lost their means of subsistence as a result of health issues and joblessness brought on by the contaminated lands and water sources. In addition to social shame and discrimination faced by survivors and their families, the community's mental health was negatively impacted by the stress of the accident. For the last impact is regulatory changes. Following the Bhopal gas disaster, numerous laws were implemented to ensure the safety of both the environments and the individuals affected. The Bhopal Gas Leak Disaster Act of 1985, which designated the government as the exclusive representative of the victims in court proceedings, was the most significant law. The Factories Act of 1948, the Public Liability Insurance Act of 1991, and the Environment Protection Act of 1986 are among the other legislation that were enacted or amended in the wake of the catastrophe. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Anissa binti Muhammad Yusri, and today I would like to present about corporate responsibility and ethical consideration in Bhopal 1980. So the first point is cost reduction. So from this Bhopal tragedy, there has been a report that this plant have a cost cutting measure, and such as reduction in safety staff and maintenance budget. So the plant became endangered, and the risk related to the operation will increase when cost saving when prioritized over safety precaution. The second point is use chemical hazardous. So in this strategy, this plant is used dangerous chemicals such as MIC, and then the Bhopal plant designed without necessary safety precaution, so the severity of the disaster were exacerbated by UCC use and storage of large amount of MIC without adequate safety systems. The third one is lack of safety measure. So according to the reports, plant staff members were not given a proper training, and there were gaps in their emergency preparedness. So inadequate of emergency response protocols and training is led to a delay and unsatisfactory reaction to gas leak. So the next one is after the tragedy. So the action and have been taken after the Bhopal tragedy was immediate response. So UCC received criticism for its lack of prompt and effective measures in initial response to the disaster. The next point is court cases and settlements. In 1989, UCC reached an agreement with the Indian government to pay $470 million in compensation. Thus, many people criticize the settlement amount has been insufficient which made many of them wonders if a financial compensation was appreciated given the severity of the tragedy. Next point is charges of crime and extradition. The CEO, Warren Edison, was charged in crimes in India, but he never showed up in court, and efforts to extradite him were not very successfully. Next point is abandonment of the plant. So, environmental cleanup efforts were criticized for their lack of speed, and the site of the BHOPAL plant remained containment for years. So, concern UCC commitment to addressing the disaster's long-term effects on the environment and nearby communities were raised by the environmental remediation project's sluggish progress. Next point is law of litigations. The UCC came under fire for failing to communicate promptly and openly about the incident chemicals details, degree of damage, and health risks. So in time of crisis, open communication is crucial, and the public mistrust was exacerbated, and the fallout was worsened by the lack of transparent information. So the next point is negligence and responsibility. So that's mean is USS was chastised for failing to maintain safety standards at the BHOPAL plant. So corporations have an ethical imperative to prioritize operational safety, and failing to do so puts at risk accountability and the duty to safeguard communities. So the next one is transparency and communication. UCC came under fire for failing to communicate promptly and transparently about the specific of the situation. So it is ethically required of cooperation and communication honestly and openly, and to swiftly disclose any information that may have been an impact on community well-being. So the last point is compensation and restitution. So to the amount of compensation agreed upon in the settlement was deemed insufficient. So to ensure the impacted communities receive just recompense for the losses by they suffered. Ethical responsibility entails providing equitable compensation for harm caused by business actions. I would like to present about the comparison with other industrial disasters. I chose the BHOPAL 1984 and Deepwater Horizon tragedies. So the first point is environmental impact. So the BHOPAL gas leak swept hazardous gases into the environment, inflicting immediate devastation. And for the Deepwater Horizon disaster, dumped millions of barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico, causing major marine and coastal damage. Next point is human health impacts. So these both tragedies impact population health was severely impacted by both disasters. While the Deepwater Horizon disaster exposed population to health concern from oil exposure and chemical dispersants, and the BHOPAL gas leak resulted in immediate respiratory and other health issues. So the next one is global attention. So spark debates on corporate responsibility, regulatory frameworks, and the need for stricter safety standards in a variety of industries. So the next one is nature of the incidents. So BHOPAL gas disaster is a chemical facility release methylate isocyanide, a deadly gas that immediately injured the local populace. In contrast, an enormous oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico resulted from the explosion of an offshore drilling rig during the Deepwater Horizon tragedy. Next point is type of hazardous substance. So toxic gas was released over a brief period in the time in the Bhopal gas leak as a result of the chemical reaction in a gas storage tank. So a blowout during drilling operation was the root cause of the deep water horizon catastrophe, which resulted in an extended oil spill that lasted for several months, and lastly the emission of a highly poisonous gas from the Bhopal gas leak affected the respiratory system and caused rapid injury. The Deepwater Horizon oil disaster caused ecological harm and long-term environmental implications. The next point is inadequate safety measure. So in the Bhopal tragedy, weak safety precautions such as improper handling and storage of dangerous chemical and weak safety practices. For the Deepwater Horizon disaster, exposed flows in offshore drilling safety procedures. So the uncontrollably released oil was caused in part by malfunction in emergency response plans and blowout preventer equipment. The next one is failure in risk assessment. The danger connected with storing and using MIC were not effectively assessed and addressed in Bhopal. The chemical potential hazard were not properly understood or addressed. For the Deepwater Horizon, incident resulted from an oil spill after a blowout due to inadequate assessment and mitigation of the hazard related to deep sea drilling. The next one is inadequate of training and awareness. So like difficulty with the training and awareness of those involved in the operations, inadequate training and awareness can lead to flaws in safety procedure and emergency response. And the last one is economic pressure around the world. So this will drive to decrease costs and increase profits in global economic framework play a role. Economic reason overtook safety and environmental concerns at times.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Alia Batrisha binti Abdul Hamid. My metric number is CN220030. Lesson learned and regulatory changes. First, lack of safety protocols. In the Bhopal tragedy, there was lack of safety protocols in the company. The company does not prioritize the safety and welfare of employees, causing one of the workers died. This experience teaches us how crucial it is to have strict safety regulations in place and enforce them in industrial settings to safeguard workers' health and safety. After Bhopal gas tragedy, many nations have legislation addressing occupational health and safety, such as the Factories Act or the Occupational Safety and Health Act. Second is the importance of training. Adequate training and competence evaluations are essential to guarantee that staff members can operate equipment and react correctly in an emergency. After the Bhopal gas tragedy, industries globally have recognized the importance of continuous training programs to ensure that workers are well prepared to handle complex machinery and respond effectively to emergencies. In Malaysia, we have National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, NIOSH. Third is management and decision making. The choice made by the top management to continue with operations in the event of no fatalities escalates a minor accident into a major one. The plan will not release any gas if it is examined beforehand. After this tragedy happened, industries worldwide have integrated lessons from Bhopal into their emergency response plans, emphasizing the need for training, simulations, and clear decision-making structures during crisis. Fourth is communication. The failure of communication infrastructure highlights how important it is to communicate effectively in times of emergency. After this tragedy happened, industries globally have invested in improving communication infrastructure. This includes the integration of advanced technologies, redundancies to ensure uninterrupted communication channels, and the implementation of GRAP protocol for conveying critical information during emergencies. And lastly, Lack of safety awareness. Several factors contributed to lack of comprehensive safety awareness, such as the using of personal protective equipment, insufficient emergency preparedness, lack of engagement with local regarding potential risks associated with the industrial operations. After the tragedy, country nowadays implement safety awareness program within organizations to create safety culture, educate employees on potential of hazards, and promote proactive measures to prevent accidents and injuries. For the incompliance of OSH management system key element, we have gathered 5. First is regulatory incompliance. The tragedy severity was largely increased by non-compliance with established safety practices and regulatory regulations. Second is inefficient communication. The communication failure that occurred during the Bhopal gas tragedy highlighted a serious disregard for efficient communication mechanism. Third, inadequate emergency preparedness. The incapacity to alert neighboring stations and the general handling of the gas leak exposed deficiencies in emergency preparedness and response. Fourth is lack of training and competency. The event exposed the presence of unskilled laborers at the facility. One instance showed a new hire assigned to maintenance after only 1 week of training. Lastly, disregard of risk assessment. The management's choice to carry on with operation as usual without doing a comprehensive assessment of the damage represented a probable underestimate of the accident's repercussion. For exploration or regulatory changes or corporate responsibility developments, several nations tighten and review their regulatory systems, enacting stricter guidelines for the production, handling, and storage of chemicals. International guidelines for the safe handling of chemicals were established and promoted by organizations like the International Labour Organization (ILO) and the United Nations Environment Programme. Lessons from Bhopal were integrated by several enterprises into their emergency preparation plans, and frequent drills and simulations were carried out to guarantee a prompt and well-coordinated response to future calamities. Many countries also introduced or enhanced hazardous waste management laws to ensure proper disposal and prevent the environmental and health risks associated with toxic substance. Globally, corporations encountered heightened observation over their moral conduct, ecological footprint, and dedication to the welfare of the localities in which they function. As a result, efforts related to corporate social responsibility (CSR) have gained more attention.
My name is Lokman Hakim and I will present for the next part. So, Bhopal tragedy happened because of a lot of factors such as human error, safety system failure, and poor regulation maintenance. But you know that this accident can be avoided if companies have prepared prevention and preparedness measures. So, what prevention and preparedness measures that can be applied to avoid this tragedy? The first is the implementation and strict enforcement of safety rules. This implementation is needed to ensure that the safety complies with all safety standards and regulations, so the risk of disaster can be minimized. Second is the company should perform a comprehensive risk assessment to identify the potential hazard associated with the manufacture and storage of hazardous chemicals such as the MIC. When the potential hazards are identified, it is easier to make a control measure. Then, union carburetor also needs to provide sufficient training to their workers. This is intended to increase their awareness and preparedness in the face of various possible emergency situations. They will be more careful because they know what they will work with. Next, a company also needs to engage with the local communities to inform them of the potential risks associated with the plant, so they will be prepared in case of any emergency. And finally, the company should provide safety gas masks, and it must be easier to access. Available and accessible of safety gas mask is important in the emergency event of a chemical leak or gas release as quick as as quick access to the safety equipment is essential for the immediate personal response. It will minimize the health effect of the workers who are exposed to the gas. Prevention and preparedness measures can ensure that tragedies like Bhopal gas tragedy will not happen. However, a company also need to have emergency preparedness and response to face any possible accident. Why it is important? The first is to guarantee the human safety. Emergency preparedness and response can ensure that the swift and organized evacuation of affected population, reducing the casualties during a crisis like the Bhopal tragedy. It also ensures the timely medical assistance, prepare for emergency ensuring immediate treatment for those exposed to hazardous substance, thereby minimizing the health consequence. Next, emergency preparedness and response also important to provide communication strategies. It helps to enhance the overall effectiveness of response measures, ensuring that the resources are deployed efficiently in crisis. This helps mitigating the impact of the emergency on both individuals and the community at large. Then, this method also provides environmental protection as it helps to contain and mitigate the environmental damage, preventing long-term consequences on ecosystem and communities. And lastly, companies that have emergency preparedness and response usually have infrastructure resilience to reduce the likelihood of catastrophic event and enhancing the ability to recover swiftly from disaster like the Bhopal gas tragedy. In conclusion, the Bhopal gas tragedy stands as a harrowing testament to the devastating consequences of industrial negligence and the urgent needs for a stringent safety measure. The events of that fateful night in 1948 not only result in immediate loss of life, but also unleash a wave of enduring health issues for the survivors. The Bhopal disaster served as a stark reminder of the far-reaching impact that industrial accidents can have on communities and emphasized the importance of prioritizing safety, corporate responsibility, and environmental stewardship in the pursuit of the industrial progress. The lesson from Bhopal show that it is really important to learn from accidents, make strong safety rules, and encourage everyone worldwide to keep people and the environment safe from dangers in industry. Thank you, that's all for me.